Hi, welcome back to the Power of Model Drawing. Alright, now we are going to resume back our drawing lessons. So from this lesson onwards, we are going to learn to creatively draw out the problem that we see, right, in our homework, in our exam papers. So every time you see a word problem, and if you think you can apply model drawing, then what you should be doing is you should focus on drawing out the sentence by sentence. Alright, so which means that we don't try to solve at the beginning. We always try to draw the model first, and after you have completed the model, then we look at the model to solve. Alright, so let's look at number one. And alright, so you can see that in this problem, example one, there is a mixture of topics. There's fraction, there's percentage. So let's read and highlight the important words. Paul, Ron, and Steve bought a watch for their mother on her birthday. So Paul paid 1/4 of what Ron and Steve paid. Okay, so when you see fractions like this, you have to do arrow pointing, which is what we learned in primary 4, right? In our primary 4 drawing lessons, the numerator will point to the first group. So Paul has one box. So when you draw his model, he has one box. Ron and Steve will have 4 boxes, right? 4 boxes for these two persons. Okay, Ron paid 20% of what Paul and Steve paid. So one of the easy way, one of the clues or the to draw the model better or easier is to change the percentage into fractions. And then what happens to the whole problem? It will become a fraction problem. So for example, 20% we can actually convert into fraction. So that will be 20 over 100. And then your simplest form will be 1/5. So you replace the 20% with 1/5. So Ron paid 1, alright, arrow pointing. So Ron has 1 box, and Paul and Steve will have 5 boxes, right, when you draw the model later. So if Steve paid $36 more than Ron, how much did the watch cost? Alright, so you always should read the problem first to understand what is it talking about. And then you also, at the same time, you also think about what method to use. So in this problem, we can use model because there's fractions given, right? Alright, so how do we exactly draw out the model? Now, you always look at sentence by sentence, which means that you draw out systematically. So you draw the first sentence. Paul, Ron, and Steve bought a watch for their mother on her birthday. So you can draw a parts whole model. Alright, why parts whole model? Because somehow it's a feeling, right? It's a feeling that, okay, parts whole model is more suitable over here. So I can't really tell you why need to draw a parts whole model, right? It goes by feeling. As you keep drawing more and more, you will discern, right? You'll be able to feel, alright, what kind of model is best suitable? Is it a comparison model or is it a parts whole model? Alright, so you draw a rectangle for the birthday present, and the first sentence is a rectangle. So Paul paid 1/4 of what Ron and Steve paid. So which means that together, these 3 persons, they paid 5 boxes, right? Paul paid 1, Ron and Steve paid 4. So together they have 4. They have 5 boxes. So you cut the rectangle into 5 boxes, right? So the present costs 5 boxes, and you can label. So Paul paid 1 box, Ron and Steve paid 4 boxes. So that's how you draw out the next sentence. Okay, now then you go to the next one. Ron paid 1/5 of what Paul and Steve paid. Okay, so how do we do that? Ron paid 1/5 of what Paul and Steve paid. So isn't that the same 3 person? Alright, same 3 person, and they are also paying the same present. So when you read the problem, you have to think about whether what is the same. Is there anything the same? So we are still talking about the same 3 person and still talking about the same present. So which means that you should draw a similar rectangle, because this rectangle represents the money that they spend to buy the present, and it's the same, right? Same amounts of money. And now you can see that Ron, Paul, and Steve, they paid a total of 6 boxes. Ron has 1, Paul and Steve have 5. So you cut this rectangle into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you start to label. So Ron paid 1, right? And then Paul and Steve paid 5 boxes. And you label. Okay? Alright. And then keep reading. Now, if Steve paid $36 more than Ron, now if you can't put the $36 more because it may mess up the model, or you can't put it anywhere, then you can skip the sentence, right? You don't try to put the $56 into the model. You can skip the sentence. So how much did the watch cost? So this is the question mark, which is to find the cost of the watch. Alright, now, so your model is done already. Alright, this is how the model looks like. Every problem has different kinds of model, which means that you do not look at other examples to copy the model. It doesn't work that way. You have to look at the problem on its own, and then you draw out the model on its own. Okay, now, if you look at this model, a good model is when you don't need to look at the question, and you can use the model to continue to solve. So, the rectangle on top, the model on top, and the model below refers to the same present, which means they are equal. So there are 5 boxes on top, there are 6 boxes below. So what I can do is, I can cut each box into 6 smaller boxes. But if you don't want to cut, you can do what I'm doing. You can put the 6 unit into each box so that it looks neater, and you don't have to count so many boxes. And then below, I will put 5 units. Why? Because on top, there are 5 boxes. So you're going to cut the box into 5 smaller boxes and do the same for the rest. Okay, the rest of these boxes. So now you can see that they are all in units. So the present costs 30 units, right? And the model below the present, the same present, also costs 30 units. Alright, and then you can also see Ron has how many units? Ron has 5 units, right? And then Paul, we don't know Paul has how many units, but you look at the model on top, Paul has 6 units, right? 6 units, because if you look at the rectangle on top, you can see Paul has 6 units. Alright, now if Paul has 6 units, then Steve has how many units? There will be 30 units minus 5 minus 6. That will give you 19 units. So Steve has 19 units. Alright, so let's put down, okay, let's just make the model clearer. So Ron has 5 units over here. Okay, so if you add each person, right, add all the people, you will find that the total present will cost 30 units. Alright, then you can now go back to the model, and you can see that Steve paid $56 more than Ron. So where is Steve? So Steve is how many units? Steve is 19 units. So there will be 19 units minus Ron. So Ron will be 5 units. So 19 minus 5 units, that will be 14 units more. So 14 units more will be equal to $56 more. So your 1 unit will be 56 divided by 14. So your 1 unit is $4. So how much did the watch cost? So the watch costs 30 units. So there will be 30 times 4, which is $120. Alright, so that's how you draw the model, alright, on its own, and then using the model to solve the problem. Alright, so let's quickly go on to the next example. Now, in the next example, you can see that we draw out first, and then we solve later. And that is the whole idea of model drawing, is to always draw out the whole problem first. So when you draw, you're not thinking about how to solve. Your focus should be on trying to draw first. So Angus had some $2, $5, and $10 notes. The $2 notes is 25% of the total number of notes, and the ratio of the $5 notes to the total number of $2 and $10 is 2:5. There are 18 more $10 notes than $2 notes. How much money does Angus have in all? Very complicated, very confusing. So if you try to solve immediately, you may it might not be so easy, alright, to just get straight into solving. So what I will do is, now I will always focus on the drawing. Alright, how do I know it's model drawing? Because there's ratio, there's more than, you can even change the percentage into fraction, and then all these are clues that tells you that you can draw a model. Alright, so Angus has some $2, $5, and $10 notes. Okay, so what kind of model do I draw? Well, again, I will draw a parts whole model. Now, why do I draw a parts whole model? Alright, we draw comparison model when you're comparing, alright, comparing 2 or more kinds of things. But in this problem, it's not really much of a comparing actually. It is actually you have 3 kinds of nodes, so you can actually put them all into a parts whole model. Okay, so again, it's a feeling, right? Does it mean that I can't use comparison model to draw? Yes, you can still draw comparison model, but parts whole model will be much easier, right, to draw out the problem. Okay, so it goes by by your feeling. All right, when you draw the problem, you will think, oh, do I draw comparison or do I draw parts whole? So as you keep practicing on the drawing, you will have the feeling of what kind of model to draw. Okay, so the first sentence is the money. All right, $2, $5, and $10 notes that is represented by this rectangle, and the notes, $2 notes is 25%. So you can change the 25% into fraction, which is 25 over 100, 1/4. So you replace the percentage with 1/4, and then arrow pointing. So the $2 notes is 1, and the total number of notes is 4 boxes. So by now you must be able to interpret the fraction, right? Because at P4 we have always been doing this arrow pointing. So the total number of notes is 4 boxes. So you cut this rectangle, which is the total number of notes, into 4, and then one box is $2, right? $2 notes. So you have drawn until here. Now the ratio of the $5 notes to the total number of $2 and $10 notes is 2:5. Alright, so how do we do that? How do we draw out the model? Now it means that the ratio of the $5 notes, alright, or if you write down the ratio, alright, $5 to the total number of $2 and $10, the ratio is 2:5. Am I correct? So if you look at this ratio, doesn't it represent all the notes, right? $5, $2, $10 notes. Isn't that all the notes altogether? And how many units are there altogether? So the total units for all these notes will be 7, right? 7 units. So if you look at this rectangle that you have just drawn, there are 4 boxes. So it also represents all the 3 kinds of notes. But do you see 7 boxes in this model? No, you don't have. So what do? You have to cut into 7 boxes, right? But you can't cut into 7 boxes. So what do? Whatever model you cannot cut, you just drop down, which is what we learned in P4, right? If you can't cut anything, you drop down the model. And before that, we need to label this part of the model, which is your $5 and $10 notes. Alright, so good model drawing must have labels. Alright, so we drop down the model, and now we can cut the model below into 7 boxes. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you start to label. So the $5 notes has 2 boxes, right? And the $2 and the $10 notes has how many? Has 5 boxes. Alright, so the $5 notes has 2 boxes, and the $2 and the $10 notes have 5 boxes. Alright, so draw slowly, right? Don't rush through the drawing, because if you can draw the model well and accurately, the solving will come easier, come faster. Alright, so where are we now? We are now over here. Okay, so if there are 18 more $10 notes than $2 notes, can we put the $18 more $10 notes inside the model? We can't. Then we just skip. Whatever you can't put in the model, so we don't put. Alright, we don't try to force ourselves to put anything that we can't put, otherwise it will mess up the drawing or it will confuse you. So we just skip. And how much money does Angus have in all, which is the question mark over here. Alright, so your model is done already. So if your model is good, you just have to look at the model and solve it. So again, the model on top represents all the notes, the 3 kinds of notes, and the model below also represent the same thing. So what do you have? It means that on top and below equal. So you have 4 boxes on top. So what I will do is the model below, I cut every box into 4 smaller boxes. Okay, but you can see that Mr. Ong doesn't really cut into boxes because too many of them. So I will just indicate 4 units into every box. And then the model on top, I will just put 7 units. Why? Because the model below has 7 boxes. Okay, and if you count all the units, there will be 28 units of notes. And then over here, this is also 28 units of notes. Alright, this is not how much money, it's how many notes. Okay, so once you're done, you can go back to the model, go back to the problem, and then you can see there are 18 more $10 notes than $2 notes. So where are your $10 notes? Okay, so can we find how many units of $10 notes? Yes, we can. The $5 notes is 8 units, and the $2 notes is 7 units, right? So you can put down 7 units. And the $10 notes will be 28 minus 8 and 7. So you will get how many? You will get 13 units of $10 notes. Okay, so you can just something like this, right? So $5 notes will be 8 units, and then your $2 notes will be 7 units. So if you add them all together, that will be total 28 units of notes. Okay, so there are 18 more $10 notes. So let's look at the $10 notes, which is 13 units, and you minus the $2 notes, which is 7 units, right? So you minus 7 units, so you get 6 units more $10 notes than $2 notes, right? And then your 6 units more is also equal to 18 more. So 1 unit is equal to 3. Alright, 18 divided by 6 is 3. Alright, so now can you find how much money does Agnes have in all? Yes, you can. So let's do slowly. So 8 units is the $5 notes. So you take 8 times 3, you have 24 $5 notes, which is what value? Which is $120. And then you have 7 units of $2 notes, which is 7 times 3, 21 $2 notes. And what's the value? The value is 42. And then you have 13 units of $10, which is 13 times 3, 39 $10 notes. And what's the value? The value is 390, right? So now can you find the total value that Agnes have? So every time you look at how much money, it means that the value. All right, please do not find how many notes. All right, the question did not ask you to find how many notes, but what is the value of all her money. So you take $120 plus $42 and you plus 390, and that will give you how much is the money that she has. So let's quickly work out using calculator. 120 plus 42 plus 390, and the total value is $552. Alright, let's have a quick check to see whether it's correct. Yes. Alright, so Agnes has altogether $552. Alright, so that's how you draw the model. So what is the lesson here? The lesson here is to focus on the drawing. Alright, once you focus on the drawing, then you look at the model to see how to solve. And that is exactly what we'll be doing for the rest of all the lessons, alright, until PSLV. Alright, so the focus is always on the drawing. Alright, okay, let's go to the next example. And okay, I think I'll let you do this as practice. So you have 10 minutes to try to draw the problem and then see whether you can solve it. Alright, so your time starts now. Alright, so do you manage to draw out the problem? You can see that this is about 4 marks. Alright, 4 marks, at least 4 mark question. Alright, looks very complicated, but don't worry. You have a method called model drawing, so use that. So 3 groups of scouts, A, B, C, each donated some money to charity. The donation made by group A was 2/3 as the total donation made by group B and group C. The donation made by group B was 3/5 as much as the total donation made by group A and group C. So if group C donated 84 less than group B, how much money did group B donate? Okay, seems very confusing, and if you immediately try to solve it, you will get yourself into trouble because either you will make careless mistake along the way, you get stuck, and in the end you will waste time because you have to redo and try to resolve again. So why not just draw the model, then everything is one shot, right? It's just right, you draw the model and then just one time to get it correct, and then you can move on to the other questions in the exam. That's what we should be doing in the exam. Alright, do not take the calculator and start to come up with the steps because it's very risky. Alright, so you should always try to draw the sentence. So 3 groups of scouts A, B, C each donated some money to charity. So I draw a rectangle, which is the money donated by all the scouts. Okay? Alright, the donation made by group A was 2. Alright, 2 boxes, and group B and group C, they donated 3 boxes. So these 3 groups donated a total of 5 boxes. So this whole rectangle represents the 3 groups. So you cut into 5 boxes, right? And of course you label. So group A, and then group A is 2 boxes, right? So you make sure you label correctly. And then group B and group C will be 3 boxes. and you draw until here. Now the donation made by group B was 3, fifth, as much as the total donation made by group A and group C. So again, you have the same three groups, but this time they donated a total of 8 boxes, right? Model drawing, 8 boxes. Alright, so if you look at the model on top, it is the same 3 groups, the same donation, but can you cut into 8 boxes? You can't cut. So whatever you cannot cut, you drop down. Okay, in P4 we learned something called dropping down the model when you are unable to cut. Alright, so group B has 3 boxes, so you just 3, and then group A and group C has 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so be slow and steady. Alright, when you draw the model, slow and steady. Alright, don't rush through your model. Focus on the sentences and slowly draw out the sentence. If you don't understand, read again to understand what the sentence means before you draw out the sentence. So group B has 3 and A and C has 5. Okay, and that is how your model looks like until here. So group C donated 84 less than group B. If you can't put the $84 less, then you don't put. So how much did group B donate? So which means your question mark is now here already. Okay, alright, and you're done. Your model is done. This is how the model looks like. Every model is unique. Right? Of course, in the last few examples, they look quite similar. But you should not be referring to the previous examples to copy down the model. It doesn't work that way. You should try to draw out on its own. Draw out the problem on its own. Okay, now, so both model above and below refer to the same 3 groups, so they are equal. So you have 5 boxes on top, so I will put 5 units into each of the smaller boxes, and then I will put how many? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I will put 8 units into each of these boxes, right? And if you count their total, how many units are there altogether? 40 units, and the total donation here is also 40 units, right? Okay, so now can you find each group has donated how many units? So group A has donated 16, right? 16 units. All right, and group B has donated how many units? Well, if you look carefully, can we find group? If group A has donated 16 units, yes, okay, 16 units. Then can we find group C? So you can see that A and C has 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 25 units minus 16 units. So group C has 9 units, right? And if A and C has 25 units, then group B will have 15 units, right? Okay, so it's quite easy to find how many units donated by each group. So group C here will be 9 units. Okay, all right, and we are done. So every group has donated so many units. All right, now we look at the problem to relate the model to the problem. Now, group C donated $84 less than group B. So let's look at B and C. Where is B? B is 15 units and C is 9 units. So which means that you have 15 unit minus 9 unit, that would be 6 unit lesser. So group C donated 6 unit lesser. And the 6 unit is $84. So what is 1 unit? 1 unit is $14. Right? So can you find how much money did group B donate? So group B donated 15 units, which is 14 times 15. Alright, so 14 times 15, that will be $210. So group B has donated $210. And that's how you solve the problem, just by focusing on the model. Alright, okay, so we are done with the lesson on model drawing. So stay tuned to the next few lessons. There will be more lessons to come, but the whole idea of all this lesson is not how to solve. Right, it's not how to solve. Of course, there'll be other methods that we need to learn how to use to solve the other types of problem. But generally, most of the problems, right, you can actually use model, right, model to solve most of the problem. So the whole idea of all these lessons that you will see in the weeks to come is to focus on drawing out the sentences, and then after that, you use the model and use that to solve the problem. So a good model drawing, a good model is one where you don't have to look at the question. Right after you have done the drawing, you just look at the model on its own and you can solve already. That is a good model. Alright, okay, so stay tuned for the next lesson, and I will see you soon.